we are huge fans of Story of the World. And in my curriculum spotlight on this, I had several people request that I talk about how I use Story of the World. And in fact, I actually even taped it, but in the great footage loss of moving 2016, it was lost, sadly. So I am retaping it, and in it, I'm also going to have an update because how I use it is going to change beginning this year. So I'm going to talk about how I used it in the past couple years, which was a 4 or 5 day a week plan, and this year will be a 3 day a week plan. So I'm going to cover both of them. First thing I want to say is that when you're done watching this, be sure to head over to my blog. I will have it linked below because I'm going to put up a blog post on how I use OneNote, Microsoft's OneNote, with my history, because that's where I do all my history planning. So I'm going to talk about why I use it and how I use it over there. So be sure to do that. So how I use it. I do use the activity guide. I'm a big proponent of this. We have not used the tests though. I purchased it. I don't remember if I bought it when I don't know. Anyway, somehow I ended up with the tests. But at the time my daughter was 3rd grade, I think. I looked at the tests and I thought these are just more difficult than what I thought she could really do well at that age, and just didn't go along with her goals. So I do not use the tests. I do highly recommend this though. I would not do Story of the World without the activity guide. So as you can see, we're in book 4. I spread out books 3 and 4 over 3 years instead of 2 years because we took off some time here and there to add in more American history. In particular, we took a month to do the Revolutionary War constitutional period and a month off to do the Civil War. And then I just spread other times throughout the years with more American history. So this will be our 5th year doing Story of the World. So the system I use now has been kind of fine-tuned and developed over all these years. So for most chapters, what I seek out are 1 or 2 images, which might be artwork of the same time period, not necessarily artwork that somehow directly matches up with something that we're talking about, but of the same time period. Or people, again, not necessarily someone in the book, though sometimes, but someone who was in that same time period, and not even necessarily the same part of the world. Pictures of the area that we're talking about in the book, that kind of thing. And I take those pictures and put them in my OneNote. And then just show them to the kids. I don't spend a lot of time on it, I just present it as an image to them. And then I like to grab 1 or 2 corresponding literature books, usually from here, but also sometimes from this book. It's called All Through the Ages. I believe this is out of print now, so obtaining a copy of it may be a little more difficult, but it is a great resource. It gives, broken down by area and time period, it gives books for literature books and nonfiction books broken down by ages. So if you can find a copy of this, I highly recommend it. So using these 2 resources, I find 1 or 2 literature books. And a lot of times they're just like a picture book type thing, not necessarily even a chapter book. In fact, most weeks they're not chapter books, honestly. Finding the time to do 1 or 2 chapter books a week for history, in addition to everything else, just isn't going to happen practically for our family. But I do try to find 1 or 2 literature books, and then 1 or 2 nonfiction, thin type books. And again, those may not necessarily line up directly with what we're talking about, but of a similar time period. They might also be a geography book. There's a couple series, and I'm sure your library has at least one, but of just different books on different countries or different states. We use those, and we don't read all of it, but I'll pick and choose things. We'll look at the pictures, that kind of thing. And then I like to try to find each week, I take it back, not necessarily each week, a couple times a month, I like to find a movie or documentary that go along with it. Sometimes more, but that's my goal. And then the last thing is when we are doing our individual work, I like to play instrumental music. So I will get onto Spotify and find music that lines up with the time period. So we are kind of at the end of the Romantic era. So I will do that. When we study the Civil War, I found some Civil War instrumental things, that kind of thing. The different famous composers, Bach and Mozart, those kind of things. And I will play them through Spotify. I have speakers that I use, Bluetooth, and just do it through there. So that's the basics of what I have to plan each week, along with the reading. Now, when we did a 4 or 5 day week, and it would honestly just vary depending on what the needs of the chapter were and what our needs of our schedule were. But day 1, I would read the first section in the book, and then we would do the review questions out of this one right afterwards. I, for a while, tried to do all the reading on one day and then the questions on the next day. And I found that the kids didn't do as well for the questions and the narration if I didn't do it right afterwards. So I split it up that day 1, I would read the first section, then do the questions, and then the narrations. You don't have narrations in book 4. And then day 2, I would do the rest of the reading and then the rest of the questions. So that was day 1 and day 2. Day 3, we would do the maps, again from the book. We would work on Elizabeth's outline once we started this book. And then we would start some of the accompanying books that I've got from the library. I'll try to have this up when I put this video up. I'll make a blog post to talk about how I use the library specifically for the history and what my system is for that. So I'll try to have both of those blog posts linked below. Okay, so that was day 3. Then day 4, we would watch any videos. Sometimes they were documentaries, sometimes they would just be short little clips that we would find on YouTube or whatever. And again, just going with time period. I love that we're in that time of history where there's actual video footage of so many things and audio footage. And it's amazing how much you can find out there. So sometimes I'll just type in whatever the topic is or whatever to find out something that goes along a similar time period and just find a short little 5-minute video. YouTube is a great resource, especially if you're limited for time and want a little something but don't want to, commit enough time to watch an hour-long documentary or something. So I highly recommend checking out YouTube as well. So day 4, any videos we could start, any other books that I wanted to do, work on Elizabeth's outline some more. Then day 5, I would do any other videos, any other books that we need to finish up. And then if we're going to do an activity, that's the day we do it. I don't do all the activities. In fact, I probably don't do most of the activities, to be honest. I'm not an activity person. I wish I were, but I'm not. And I know that a lot of them are just not going to get done. So I am very choosy on which ones I choose to do, and I make sure they get done. I try to do every 3 weeks or so, no more than every 4 weeks. I try not to go any more than 4 weeks before we do one. So, if there is a chapter that only has like one section, I will, instead of drawing it out over 5 days, I'll crunch it up more down to 2 or 3 days and then just go on to the next chapter. So that is our 4 or 5 day week schedule. For 3 day the week this year, we are going to do the homeschool PE at the Y on Tuesday and Thursday. So our afternoons we lose because that's when we do our together work. But I'm going to have a little bit longer time the other afternoons. So Monday I'm going to do all the reading, all the questions, and then get Elizabeth started on her outline or essay. Day 2, so Wednesday, we will do the map work, we will do books, and Elizabeth will keep working on her things. Day 4, if we have any videos that I can get on DVD through the library or through Netflix, we actually have a lot of drive time that day because of the distance to PE, that I can use that time to put a movie in the car if I want and us to listen to it. And actually I can do it on day 2 as well, or on Tuesdays. But Thursdays I plan to use that time most weeks to put something in. Unfortunately, I wish that there was a way that I could stream Netflix or Amazon through the iPad into the car, and there may possibly be a way, but we won't know it without investing money in it, as best I can tell. If you happen to know of a way, I would love for you to leave a message below. I can't, with Netflix, no, with Amazon you can download. Of course Netflix I couldn't do that because we don't have data on it, but if there's a way that you know of, I would love to let me know below. So anyway, that's that. And then Fridays, we will use it to do any activities, to finish up any books that we have, and finish up any other media. If we have anything to watch on YouTube or anything else to listen to, that's what we'll do on Fridays. I hope this will work for us with doing it 3 days a week. I'm sure it will. It'll just take a little bit of adjusting to get into the swing of it. So that is how I use my beloved Story of the World. If you have other things that you do, I would love for you to leave it below. If you have any questions about what I do, be sure to leave those below as well, and I will do my best to answer you. And then, as soon as you're done, be sure to head over to my blog, where I will have up hopefully both of those blog posts, but definitely the one on OneNote. And check it out. OneNote, if you don't know, it's a free program from Microsoft that will automatically sync across devices. So I can pull up the reading list for it on my phone. While I'm at the library, I have it on my iPad and on the laptop, as well as the desktop. So no matter where I am editing, it'll sync with the other ones and I can use it everywhere. So I found it a couple years ago, and I wish I would have found it much sooner because I have become a huge OneNote fan. So that is Story of the World. Be sure to hit subscribe below so that you don't miss out on more homeschooling videos now that we're back into the swing of homeschooling. Well, almost. And thanks for watching.